When it comes to the online music discourse, it's a pretty common notion by many to hear them complain about the effects of the ever-controversial platform TikTok, with many creators claiming the platform's wrongdoings for infiltrating the music landscape with music where the quality ranges from mediocre at best to the most reviled and scored abominations that were damned to roam this earth. Leah Kate's Twinkle Twinkle, Jax's Victoria's Secret, Gail's ABCDEFU, all points to be the king examples for many of why TikTok has changed the landscape for the worst, all while ruining the distribution system with the advent of the sped up / slowed down trend we're starting to see seep onto radio stations. It's clear to many that the platform is lighting up what could be one of the darkest paths for the music industry. But do I think this is the problem? No. Folks, allow me to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, because despite the many videos that are about this topic, I don't actually believe that TikTok is the #1 reason for the quote ruination of music. In fact, I personally believe that TikTok is not only potentially not guilty of any of the charges related to the inshittification of music, but that these attacks on music were not only unavoidable, but would have already happened without the platform, and has already been happening for decades now. And we're going to get into all of that right after this title card. Now, I am going to be completely honest before I dive into anything and say that I'm actually not a big fan of TikTok. I've been off of the platform for like half a year now, and most of that comes down to the algorithm, the TikTok shop, the weird-ass streak that was the reason I was so codependent on it, the god-awful UI that doesn't give you any control of what you want to watch. I totally get it. It's bad, I know, but I also believe most of that comes down to the creators on there as well. I believe the creators are the #1 reputation builder and destroyer. Tell me, can you name me one negative thing on TikTok that does not involve the creators on the platform or the content on it? Sure, you might be pointed to the temporary ban that happened back in January. You could point to the TikTok shop, I totally get that. I remember being so deranged at one point that I thought it would have been wise to purchase what was basically the gateway to fucking vaping of all things. But besides that, most of the people that are saying I hate TikTok are 99.99% of the time always going to be referring to the content that's on the platform. They don't like what they see and they dip. And that's totally normal. But still, as I mentioned, there's so much going on with TikTok that I genuinely cannot bear myself to use it any longer. So I had to leave it, as well as breaking my 400-day streak with my girlfriend, which I am still legitimately upset over, but I understand that it was for my own mental health. And now that I've got all of that out of the way, let's talk about the music. Whoa, new setup. Like what you see here? This is actually a really new angle to me, so I hope it looks good on camera. But yeah, it's no secret to many when I say that TikTok music is mediocre, to say the least. There are genuine lowbrow creators that are on this platform who have made some of the most garbage and abhorrently bad music that you could ever imagine. And a lot of that is compiled into a dozen different YouTube compilations of people just mocking these people and posting some of the most, well, cringe content available. And half of that is related to the music itself, and the other half is related to what I also think is most important, the promotion.
So I had this idea for a song from the perspective of anxiety. Check this out.
Mine in the way. Like, I think we all have seen the "my life f***ing sucks" TikTok at one point or another. It shows off a sign of arrogance and immaturity, and not the kind that would make people want to admire you like Olivia Rodrigo or Billie Eilish. It's not a quirk, it's not being relatable, it's a all that it's doing is taking that song of the summer that you created and having us toss it right into the nearest dollar bin store that might have the next Lucas Graham album on it or something. I mean, the one song that I've actually had the misfortune to listen to, and this is rare because I don't really hate all music that often. The only time I've ever had an actual disagreement from a song, it's
Salem Elise.
Mad at Disney. I hope I even pronounced her name right. She just takes the whole subject of films from your childhood is not actually aligned with reality thing in such a callow and meandering way. It's the kind of tick-in-the-box songwriting process that adds in some of the most shallow and generic writing that you could imagine. Pee-pee poo-poo. What I'm trying to say is the writing is shit. ABCDEFU is the core definition of manufactured. I think all of us are very familiar with how that song even came to existence, so I don't want to go through all of that, but yeah, it is the definition of manufactured. As for Victoria's Secret, I don't really have any problems with it. It's generic, I understand. There's a reason it's on the worst ever list, but I don't think it's really a bad idea for there to be another twig in the fire that is the exposure of Victoria's Secret. I think their marketing is very manipulative, and I think it is great that we have people talking about how disruptive they are towards how women view themselves or how girls try to look up to be, these fake models. I think that is great that we have something exposing that. I do want to talk about one actual good piece of promotion that I got from TikTok. It's a very rare that an advertisement makes me want to listen to a song, but the one time that it did was for an advertisement for Brittany Howard's What Now. It came onto my feed in late 2023 and it made me want to go and watch the video, and now I am a Brittany Howard fan. So that was the one time TikTok advertising made me want to listen to a record. So congrats. Okay, so that got all of the original music out of the way. What about the regular music? What about the music that's actually being made by those on record labels? Well, for the normal music made by normal musicians, there seems to be an avid remix culture on the platform where they take whatever song might be in discussion at that very moment and then speed it up or slow it down, altering the pitch in the process. Some examples include Panic at the Disco's House of Memories, Taylor Swift's Cruel Summer, Miguel's Sure Thing, Michael Bublé's Sway, all keen examples of tracks that had regained popularity because of a tempo-adjusted remix. Now, at first glance, all of this doesn't really seem that harmless. It's just a fun internet trend to just with the pitch of a song and then put it out there. It's not really that egregious, and I'm just pulling out all the sentence enhancers here. But what makes it as harmful as, ironically, the internet is making it out to be is that this in turn alters the way that musicians are starting to distribute and promote their music out in the wild. I still remember when people were talking about that one single for Ariana Grande's Yes and it featured a bunch of different altered mixes of the song, including a sped up and slowed down remix. I remember for a limited time only, about 24 hours, Billie Eilish had done an entire sped up and slowed down version of Hit Me Hard and Soft, and it was made available for you to buy for those 24 hours. One of my favorite musicians is this smaller artist named Peachloof, and to try to get more promotion for his music going, he also did separate sped up and slowed down mixes of his record too. But then it gets a little extra meta when all of a sudden these remixes start getting out onto the radio. I remember my first time listening to Sure Thing was from a sped up version that was played on said radio. I'll admit I actually did like the song, but it's weird for the perception to be altered from listening to that remix first instead of the original, but whatever. I sadly didn't record it, but I also remember there was one point in time where Walmart decided to play an entire slowed down version of Cruel Summer in the middle of autumn. Why? Which, by the way, that's weird, right? That all these songs didn't even come out in the year of their virality. Sure Thing is from 2010. Cruel Summer is from 2019. The Weeknd's Die For You was the song of the year for 2023, and it's from 2016. So yeah, it seems that the concept of music consumption has been altered by the advent of TikTok. Everybody's just going to be speeding up their songs so they can juice out whatever bits of dopamine is left in their system. The concept of music production is going to be still and dried out, and it's going to harm the music business for good. But is any of that really true? Okay, so let's make one thing clear. When we do talk about TikTok by name, what exactly are we referring to? Are we referring to the platform or the people that just happen to be on the platform? Because if we're talking about the people here, then that is one massive anthropomorphization. TikTok is just the distributor, the curator, the platform, and that is being fueled by the people, the community. Sure, the algorithm might have a play into it. However, and this is true by the way, the algorithm is only curated by the things that you watch. So how exactly can you blame the platform for what is being given to you when you have some control of what's being given? Just choose another item off the menu. You're not forced to pick the bowl of mayonnaise. Just pick something else. pick the bowl of ketchup instead. You have just as much control over what you want to watch as you tell yourself. I know that for a platform like TikTok, it is very easy to go on autopilot, but no amount of scrolling is going to get you to find what you actually want to partake in. There's a search button for a reason. So the people who are creating this kind of music that you don't like is only getting popular because, get this, people actually like it. And yeah, for things like Victoria's Secret, yes, but for Leah Kate's, yeah, people are taking the piss out of it, but they're at least having fun at their concerts or whatever. I don't know, go watch Mike the Snare's video about it. I don't think it's inherently fair to demolish any joy one person could have for the heinous crime of liking a song. Or for the matter, any of the remixes people do. I actually like the sped up version of Sure Thing. Something about the new key it's in gives it such a cozy vibe to it. It kind of feels fun. I do enjoy listening to it. Of course, the original will always be a classic. Don't get it twisted here. And you know what also makes this kind of funny? None of this is new. What if the internet has been doing this for the past 20 years and they are just poisoning the TikTok well, and that all of this is just history repeating itself? I think before I can get into any examples, I kind of want to lay down the grounds of what it means for music to be ruined. The concept of music is ruined has been a statement that has been said by pretty much every generation that you could imagine. You could go back to the 2010s when dubstep was all the rage, the Harlem Shake, or the rise to this app called Musical.ly that would eventually become TikTok. Or you could go back to the 2000s when the internet culture was starting to explode thanks to YouTube, and how we just got off of the devastating fire that was LimeWire or Napster, and the rise of ringtone rap, which did give us Soulja Boy, so we will give it credit for that. Or what about the 90s when the advent of the digital audio workstation made its way into people's homes, and now they don't need to go into a studio to record anything? Or how the genres of yesteryear were being slowed down, making way to alternative or grunge. I mean, there was a reason Tom the Shadows had the Nirvana Killed My Career segment on his channel. Or how about the 1980s when recording music at home was even harder and you needed to get one of those 4-track tape recorders in order to make that happen? Or even worse, you had to be of a certain ethnicity in order to get on MTV. Yikes. And I know Live Aid also happened that year where they were raising money for Ethiopia during a famine, but a lot of the stuff that went behind it was very controversial, and there was a reason Chumbawamba's debut album was making fun of Live Aid. Or what about the 1970s? The f***ing disco demolition! Disco was the 70s Twinkle Twinkle! Do any of you know where I'm going with this? Does any of this make any sense to anybody? I hope I am making sense to people. Stop making sense. What I'm trying to say is I think we need to stop blaming current thing and current year for being the downfall of music. Music is the most subjective and selectable format you could ever partake in. And I honestly do understand that criticism is valid in music. There's a reason people are still upset over 143, but at some point, where do you draw the line between a critic and a curmudgeon? There has to be a line drawn at some point, and where exactly are you supposed to pin an entire generation for being the downfall of music? So how about we get to some examples? Before the age of TikTok, or even its predecessor, Musical.ly, you could see YouTubers spitting out below average music that would be made available on iTunes and Spotify. There's already a YouTube video that's about this. It's made by Liam Anthony. Go check it out. That video was very well put together. But the gist is, YouTubers have been trying to get into the music scene for well over a decade. Ryan Higa, Smosh, Fred, oh my God, it's Weezer! Most infamously Jake Paul, and most recently, Dream.
The mask is my city.
Literally the one reason we got Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber now is because they had posted music on to YouTube. And I know Ariana was in a popular Nickelodeon show, but Monte Lipman, the CEO of Republic Records, had only signed her off of her YouTube covers and did not know she was even on Nickelodeon. The beauty about the internet is that anybody can upload their music. The curse about the internet is that anybody can upload their music. However, it is still extremely easy to weed out these artists. For every Dream, you have a Joji. For every Gabby Hanna, you have an Andrew Huang. All of those I mentioned were musicians that are or were on YouTube. And yes, I'm still holding on to Joji because of Filthy Freaking Pink Guy. The reason for these people having songs out despite being YouTubers is perhaps the same reason you want to do music in the first place. It's just another outlet, just another thing to make art with, promote to your fans, whatever. And sometimes it can even go beyond the YouTube realm. I'll never forget when Rice Gum's song Every Night Sis actually made it onto the Billboard Hot 100. And that was still off of the strength of YouTube alone. That's still really crazy to me. Anybody remember Keenan Cahill? That one person that did lip syncs of popular songs, and they would actually have the celebrities in the background when they played said song. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I'm not gonna get into it too much because it's not exactly the main point of this video, but a lot of people have been really angry about TikTokers and Musically back in the day just posting videos of them lip syncing to songs, when literally the first major viral video that showed up on YouTube was of Smosh doing a lip sync to the Pokemon theme song. Oh, but what about them listening to older music? Oh, nobody's listening to new music anymore. Oh, nobody wants to listen to the new stuff. We have been doing that since the dawn of movie soundtracks. The number one reason Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody got as popular again in the 90s as it did, even though it's a song from 1975, is all because of Wayne's World and that scene where they were just f***ing around in the car, listening to the song and headbanging to it, and Freddie Mercury signed off on that before he died. Or what about the concept of sampling music, like Mariah Carey sampling a Tom Tom Club song, or Ariana Grande sampling a Big Pun song, or the entirety of The Weeknd's Dawn FM for being inspired by 80s pop and R&B. God forbid we listen to any music. Oh, and as for the claim of them being the problem that sped up and slowed down music is infiltrating music, I'm sorry, but are we just going to ignore f***ing Nightcore over here? Motherfucker, they are the trendsetters. They have been doing this for the past 20 years, and we all just laugh at their faces for being weeaboo trash to us, and now these fuckers just squander their way into TikTok doing the same shit under a different title, and now all of a sudden sped up music is cool once I'm out of middle school? Vaporwave has had my back for nearly a decade at this point, and they too have been put under the same amount of scrutiny that Nightcore has been under. So don't you f***ing come up to me and say that your remix of Taylor Swift's Cruel Summer is the greatest thing you ever heard. Take this copy of Floral Shop and see me in a week. Now, the last thing that I want to share to really hone in on how ridiculous this all is, I have this CD player that I've been using for quite a while. It was manufactured in April of 1999. It is a commercially available CD player for anyone to have bought and used during their morning commutes from back in the day. And on this machine is a feature that is called intro. And I'm not even kidding. All that it does is it just plays the first 10 seconds of a song and then it skips to the next one. 10-second snippets. About the same amount of length as that intro to Bad Habits that everybody in that crowd only knew. It was the same amount of length as that one verse from Thinking of You that everybody was talking about. It's just 10 seconds. That is shorter than 99% of traditional music. Or what about that hit clip toy that was from the 2000s that was literally nothing but 1 to 2 minute mixes of songs? Shouldn't have that been called the music killer? At least you were able to get the entire album on Napster. So now answer me this. Riddle me this, Batman. Why are we exactly trying to put all of the blame on one social media platform when 25 years prior, we were selling standalone devices that were achieving the same goal, the same purpose in mind? Why can't we all just get along? Why can't we put our differences aside and realize that music is such a beautiful art form and it deserves to be given more flexibility for this kind of nonsense? Why can't we be friends? If you were to ask me about how I felt about all of this, and when it comes down to just the state of music, I think it comes down to the fact that music is getting more accessible now than it ever has before. And that's a great thing. I think it's amazing that individuals like you and me are able to have access and so much power over music. I think it's amazing that we can make and share what we want and have it resonate with people. This might be my inner Waffles person speaking to me, but a part of me believes that people might actually be infuriated by the accessibility of music. I remember seeing Drew Gooden's video about AI music and how some of the comments that were in one person's dorky video about AI production was saying that they were not happy with the modern music that was being played on the radio and how there was no quality control. And it makes me think, do you actually want to gatekeep music? I am seriously grateful for the ability for individuals like you and me to be able to get access to professional grade software to be able to make whatever we want whenever we want. I am currently editing this video on the very same platform that was used for the color grading for The Big Bang Theory. I made an entire album in the very same bedroom that I'm currently writing this script and recording this video right now. And you can listen to the album on your preferred streaming service of choice. It's called The Whimsical World of DLT. Links in the description. And I honestly, genuinely have no idea why you will want for that to be taken away, all because some randomer on the internet made a song that starts with, "I'm mad at Disney, Disney." I think if anything, it's gonna be a natural selection at this point on who works with it and who doesn't. It's just a f***ing win-win for everybody. There's no reason for it to be locked up and taken down, all because of some imbecilic wannabes. Going back to what I said earlier, I think it is fine for a person to be introduced to a song thanks to a remix. Anybody remember I Took a Pill in Ibiza? Anybody remember Waves? They were both acoustic tracks before they became the dance pops we know them for. As for the popularization of older songs, I think that's actually a great thing. I am happy that people have the cognitive function of looking through previously released material and putting a bit of spit shine on it. I think the one song that they did this that I was very grateful for was Michael Jackson's Heaven Can Wait. It was off of Invincible, his final and sadly least best performing album, and TikTok was able to bring in Invincible back from the dead thanks to Heaven Could Wait being viral on it, so that made me really happy. I am very grateful that they did that. Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill was able to reach #1 for the first time after 37 years of existence thanks to Stranger Things Season 4. Fleetwood Mac's Dreams was able to get a whole generation of fans again thanks to some random guy skateboarding and drinking a juice. It's amazing what the power of social media is able to do for people, to people, with people. Because at the end of the day, how can you say that life imitates art when art comes from life? I think before I end the video, I do want to mention that it is totally fine to have whatever feelings you do have. The internet is open to hear people out, but I also think it's fair for that openness to be canceled out if you're being unreasonable with it. Some people like listening to music in different ways. We all have different tastes, different genres, different radio stations we listen to, different streaming services that still have the same content on them. Just pick out what you like. You're not enforced to listen to a sped up remix of a mediocre pop tune. Just go put on a Grateful Dead record or a Ninja Sex Party one. K-pop for all I care. Do that. Just go now. Make that moment happen. Embrace what you love and don't try to enforce others into it. Just share on what you're doing. Some people are going to have the same tastes as you. And I think that is the reason I am so happy to be on the internet.